day. I'm actually coming live on the right day today. So yeah, that's good. I have a massive week this week. It is my birthday week. So I'm turning, I don't even want to say, I'm entering last week of my 20s, the last year of my 20s tomorrow. So it's very exciting. So yeah, I've got a massive week. I've got lots of birthday things on and family dinners and friend stuff, and I'm going away for the weekend. So yes, I'm feeling pretty pressed for time this week, but it is awesome. I love living at this speed. It's quite energizing. But today our topic is, I've got my notes in front of me. What is the connection between mental and physical health? So it's kind of an interesting topic. And before I jump into that, I will quickly mention for those of us watching on YouTube, because this is obviously going live in lots of different places on the internet. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and you hit the bell so that you're notified next time I go live. I say that because last week I did not go live on the correct days. So it's kind of, up in the air when I will actually hit go live. That just means you'll get notified next time I'm live. Why would you even want to do that in the first place? Probably only if you're a Christian woman struggling with your mental and emotional well-being. If you're anything different than that, then it's probably totally irrelevant. So I will not be offended if you don't subscribe. But yeah, I really feel strongly called by God to speak on this topic, because God has brought me through such a massive transformation over the course of my life, honestly. But even within the last 5 years, I can't even recognize who I was back then. I was plagued by anxiety, plagued by depression. You probably wouldn't even notice the full extent because I was kind of masking it quite a bit. But just getting through the day was so difficult. Just getting out of bed was so difficult most days. It was very, very difficult. I've also been through work burnout and things like that. So I'm all about talking about my journey for the way that God has brought me through this, through spiritual healing, as well as practical tips and techniques that I implemented that really made a massive difference in my mental health. And I do believe it's spiritual attack. I believe the enemy is attacking Christians more than ever, particularly in the Western church in this day and age, with their mental health. Because if he can, what's the word? Bind us by this, we can't, well, we can, but we feel like we can't fulfill the calling that God's placed in our lives, because we're struggling to even do the basic things of, getting out of bed and going to work and whatever our lives look like. And that we can't even actually do the thing that God's called us to do, because we have the power to make a massive difference in this world for his kingdom. But how can we do that when we're sick and tired and burnt out? So I really believe that God's called me to speak on this topic. So if that resonates with you and you feel like our story could help, definitely follow along through subscribing on YouTube, like I was just talking about, just to bring this full circle. Or also, if you're watching on Facebook, keep doing that. And then I've got my private community. The link is in the description. It's completely free, and that's where I can serve you on a deeper, more intimate and personal level. So there's that too. So today we're talking about what's the connection between mental and physical health. I've obviously got a blog post to go with this. I should stop saying obviously, because some people, this might be the first video you've come across, but yeah, I've got a blog post that goes along with this. So if you prefer to read instead of watch, click the link in the description, and that will give you, it's even more information, because I don't know this information off the top of my head usually. Sometimes I do, but a lot of it is just research. So the blog post goes into more detail of the scientific sort of type stuff, but I can just kind of verbal word vomit on you guys in these videos with my basic notes that I made from the blog post. Okay, so for me, what does this even mean? All right, so we're talking about the connection between mental and physical health. I'm struggling to read my scrawny writing, but anyway. So when I get anxiety, when I get depression, I get a physical response, and you probably know this too. So there's definitely a connection between mental and physical health. So when I'm having an anxiety attack, we know what those symptoms tend to be. It's different for everybody, but for me, quickened heartbeat, struggle breathing, I get dizzy, my world kind of starts going numb and all of that. So that's a physical response to mental health response. And then, when I'm depressed, also there's a physical aspect to that. I won't feel like eating. I'll feel quite nauseous. I'll feel like sleeping all the time, all of that. So definitely a connection there. And then also the opposite is true as well. So when I'm exercising, when I'm drinking enough water, when I'm eating right, that gives me a mental response. So a mental effect. So when I'm doing all the right things, when I'm eating nutritious meals, when I'm making sure I'm exercising, which I've slipped a bit with that, when I make sure I'm drinking water, I've definitely slipped with that. I feel more alert. I feel more joyful. I feel more uplifted. I feel more ready to tackle this world. So there's definitely a response. So we're going to go through those a bit more deeper. So the first one is how your mind affects your body, and then we're going to flip it and say how your body affects your mind. So how your mind affects your body. Muscle tension. So often caused by anxiety. We can get headaches or neck or back tension or things like that. That's often caused by anxiety or chronic stress or whatever it might be. You might get digestive issues. So this is based on like the gut-brain connection that we've talked about previously. But yeah, when you're feeling anxious, you might get digestive issues, you might get bloating, you might get this physical response. And a lot of people go to the doctor for this and go, I've got like digestion issues. Turns out it's anxiety. So it's not often something that we immediately link, but that's a strong link. I definitely experienced that too. And then third of all, our immune system. This is another thing. So when we have chronic stress or when we have anxiety that's prolonged, it actually weakens our immune system. So we might find that we're getting colds more quickly or more often, or they knock us out more. We might be getting sick a lot more. Illnesses and things will hit us stronger when we're stressed and anxious. Whereas, for example, when I'm now that I'm in a much better place, I find I don't really get sick very much anymore. Unless, I've got a whole lot going on and it's not necessarily mental, but it's like, my body is kind of worn out. That's when I notice that I'm more susceptible to these things. Number two, how your body affects your mind. Exercise, we know that releases endorphins, which will actually lift your mood. So we know that this is actually something that we're told to do when we're feeling depressed or when we're feeling anxious, is to go exercise. It's a really healthy thing to do, obviously, but it's a healthy way of dealing with our high anxiety and our depression, because it actually releases endorphins in our brain that lift our mood and make us feel happier and lighter and more uplifted. Nutrition, obviously, when you're eating nutrient-rich foods, it actually supports our brain function and it stabilizes our mood, which is really interesting. Whereas on the flip side, when you're eating processed foods a lot, or you're eating lots of sugar, those two things I've cut out of my diet quite heavily, because I know that when I eat like that, I'm feeling physically sluggish and gross and bloated and all that. But also mentally, it really fogs my brain. When I cut out the processed food, that's a big thing to do. Cut out your processed foods, cut out your sugar. You'll immediately feel such a difference to your mental health and your physical health. And thirdly, sleep. We know sleep is a big thing that affects our mental health. So when we're well rested, we can manage our stress a lot easier, and also it helps us to regulate our emotions a lot more. Whereas when we are sleep deprived, or we had a restless night's sleep, or we haven't been getting sleep for a long period of time, we know that even small issues get blown out of proportion and feel so overwhelming. And it has a massive effect, particularly those of us struggling with depression. We often we sleep all the time. We feel so tired all the time, but we're not getting good quality sleep. So it just messes up with everything. But sleep is a big one. So they're just a few things, but go to the blog post because it's got a lot more information. As always, I talk more deeper on these subjects in my private community. So jump over there and join in the fun over there. I hope it's a bit fun. Like, it's quite a heavy topic, but I try to lighten it up and bring some levity and some fun in there. And then also, I just posted a poll in the group. If for those of you who are in the group, I posted a poll in there of what you want to hear from me next. So I've got 3 different options. Vote which one you want me to do a deep dive on next, and I will come live and I will share deeper on that. I love doing those, by the way. One of my favorites so far was when I did the deep dive Bible study on what the Bible says to do when we have anxiety and when we have depression. It's really, really interesting. I'm such a nerd for the Bible and making sure that everything I do and say is as much as I can, like, biblically accurate and lines up with the Bible. And anyway, that's a whole nother topic, but I love the Bible. So when I do Bible studies, I super get into them. So anyway, so jump into the community if you are not in there, and otherwise I will see you on Thursday. Bye.